Hello and welcome to Gendering Geopolitics, my short series where I have quick 10-minute conversations with women who are shaking up the world. My name is Emily Prey, and I'm a senior analyst at the New Lines Institute in Washington, D.C. Today, I'm speaking with Riada Asimovic Akyol, a journalist and the creator and host of the podcast Dignified Resilience, about the 26th anniversary of the Srebrenica genocide. Thank you so much for joining me, Riada.
Thanks so much for having me, Emily.
So July 11th marked the 26th anniversary of the genocide, which was the worst massacre in Europe since World War II. On Friday, Bosnia's peace envoy made a surprising but welcome decision to impose jail terms for genocide denial. Denial is one of the surest indicators, actually, of further genocidal massacres or acts. So what does it mean that genocide denial has now become criminalized, and what were some of the reactions to this?
Yeah, thank you, Emily. On July 23rd, the Office of the High Representative with the departing Valentin Inzko has made a frankly historic decision on enacting the law on amendment to the Criminal Code of Bosnia and Herzegovina. He has used so-called bond powers dating to December 97, according to which he makes, or she can make, binding decisions as high representative judges necessary on certain issues. So the announcement that you're right was given on July 23rd first confirmed all the internationally established facts about the genocide, as well as the concerns about the denial by prominent individuals and public authorities in Bosnia and Herzegovina, as they question the legitimacy frankly, of judgments issued by the International Criminal Tribunal for former Yugoslavia and the Court of Bosnia and Herzegovina. So that OHR announcement also reminded that those individuals and public authorities honor and still praise convicted war criminals. And then, of course, they elaborated the few paragraphs that will be inserted, that are inserted actually, and are binding as of tomorrow, should be enacted in force, which say that whoever publicly incites to violence or hatred directed against a group, persons, or a member defined by race, color, religion, they will get a jail term for between 3 months and 3 years. And then a few other paragraphs who really cite things that have been going on in Bosnia for so long: public condoning denial, gross trivializations, whoever publicly disseminates or distributes tracts, pictures, or other material, whoever disturbs public peace, gives a recognition, award, memorial, any kind of memento, or any privilege to a person sentenced by a final judgment for genocide or crimes against humanity or war crimes, now will get a jail term. So this is really, and I mentioned these specifics, as I said, precisely because this has been going on. This morning, actually, in Srebrenica, there have been posters of Ratko Mladic. A huge mural has been painted in Vračar, in Belgrade neighborhood, just a few days ago. And we have been facing precisely these things that have been described, as I said, in the new paragraphs that will be added in, that are added in the criminal law of Bosnia and Herzegovina. So it's pretty huge, because we have had media that has been pumping a huge, very important factor in terms of different platforms that for years have been amplifying genocide deniers as well, including state TV of Republika Srpska, for example. We have Srebrenica Memorial Center, incredibly prolific institution that has published a fresh report, I believe, a few weeks ago, where they have said that they noted 234 genocide-denying acts or statements noted in the public media space only, referring to Bosnia and the region in last year. So, of course, in terms of reactions, we have some not surprising reactions from Milorad Dodik, who is a Bosnian Serb leader, a member of the Bosnian multi-ethnic presidency, and the top politician in the Serb-run entity called Republika Srpska. Not only did he call for the secession for a millionth time, he also then suggested a petition. Then he said, actually, that genocide did not happen. He said Serbs must never accept this, which is a pretty tragic statement in its own, collectivizing, as he's doing himself, that guilt about the genocide. Then afterwards, and today, we have all the Serb parties' representatives blocking the state institutions. Of course, they're not resigning, because apparently they still want their salary. But we have the recent news that Milorad Dodik will meet the new high representative next week in Sarajevo. So some of these are very, very expected. Some of these are, we have representatives of government from Serbia as well, who have been saying that jail term is specifically irresponsible, as Prime Minister of Serbia, Brnabić, said. And Emily, the only way why this can be irresponsible is because we do have so many of people who are currently in governments who keep denying it. So there, it's people look at it a different way, but this decision is historic. It should not be a threat. In fact, it is the basis for any reconciliation, which is taking so long precisely because of these historical revisionist efforts, ongoing ideological poisoning in Republika Srpska, in Serbia as well. And because of political and economic benefits that the politicians and the nationalist elites, both in Serbia and in Bosnia and Herzegovina, have been, they've been reaping the benefits of this sort of toxic ideologies for so long. So the question is how the prosecutors will act. They said they will monitor any statements by individuals or groups and act in accordance with these new amendments. Some legal experts have applauded this because we're talking about criminal law on the state level, without which there would never have been a consensus. And I will only tell you that the latest important news is that some movement that people who, like Gordana Tadic, who has been a very controversial figure, is no longer the main prosecutor. So some things are good. Things are good for those who care about justice. Things are good for those who care about fighting Srebrenica genocide, or should I also say Bosnian genocide denial, for all those who worry about concentration camps that have happened in Prijedor, siege of Sarajevo, as Srebrenica Memorial Center stated in their statement, how this is important for all those who care about revisionist approaches to crimes against humanity, as well, against Holocaust genocide denial. So whoever their perpetrator might be.
So looking back to the 90s, what role did women play in bringing about peace after the war and over the last 26 years?
This is one of my favorite topics because I really have a great appreciation for what women have done, in the sense that, well, first let me tell you, as you are probably very well, familiar with, we have a lot of literature from around the globe describing the efforts and mechanisms and then lack of women who remain underrepresented in formal peace-building processes, whether they are peace negotiations, whether they are local peace committees. But we do know how women participate in these informal peace-building processes. So in the aftermath of Bosnian genocide, many women were left as not just caregivers, but also breadwinners. So many of them were victims of sexual violence as well. Many were traumatized by humongous losses in their families, and they had to look for remnants of their loved ones, while many of them were displaced as well. But many of them changed in the process too. They have become agents of power. They're not just victims, they're survivors. Social scientists have been studying what they notice, or Marie Berry, I will mention her, a period of rapid social and institutional transformations where the norms about the gender, particularly in patriarchal environments like Bosnia and Herzegovina, can shift too. And there are circumstances that catalyze women, their resilience and mobilization in explicitly political ways. So I will just mention, considering that we're speaking about genocide denial and the new ban on it, I will mention Hatidža Mehmedović, who is, may she rest in peace, who is a genocide survivor, a fearless and fierce advocate, a woman who suffered immense losses, lost 2 sons, husband, 50 cousins, who returned to Srebrenica. Actually, 10 days ago was 3rd anniversary of her death. In 2002, I believe, she was mocked and faced harassment from Serbian neighbors, but she actually founded Mothers of Srebrenica organization, the group that actually will campaign hard for establishment of Memorial Center, which was opened in Srebrenica Potočar in 2003. So these, and one thing that she has often been written about, not only about her struggle for reconciliation and justice, but reminding us all that we cannot equalize those who had been killed with those who killed. So the legacies of women like her, looking at a broader picture, is really a struggle for justice in terms of women who have also peace builders like Zilka Spahić-Šiljak, who combine religious and secular tools to provide answers to many women who had questions about rape. Many were pregnant, many gave birth after being sexually violated in war. So in fact, Islamic feminism and peace building emerged during wartime in Bosnia. And Dr. Zilha Spahić-Šiljak and Sabina Husić and Amra Panđo really provided answers to women when they needed it the most in very creative ways. So for the sake of time, I will just say that how women suffered between 1990 to 95 is both documented and still insufficiently documented. A lot of mothers of Srebrenica and them are dying biologically. They're getting old, but there are institutions like Srebrenica Memorial Center and many other great institutions in Bosnia that are trying to not just honor, but kind of collect the oral histories of these women who have found really creative ways to make peace with themselves and those around them.
And just quickly, in the last 30 seconds or minute or so, what can the US do to help promote peace and push back against this narrative of genocide denial in Bosnia and Herzegovina?
Yeah, well, the U.S. and the current President Biden are seen as great friends of Bosnia because of President Biden's personal experiences in the 90s as well, or at least majority of people in Bosnia see him as a friend as well. Of course, because the United States has said that it will support the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Bosnia and Herzegovina. There are a lot of expectations about Bosnia's path to NATO, and the U.S. Embassy issued a statement on Friday, which has been greatly welcomed, precisely saying that we must underscore how the genocide at Srebrenica is not a matter of debate, but of historical fact. So, that's in terms of the main topic of our conversation, that's that. But the United States and the government has been supportive and should continue supporting Bosnia's struggle against corruption, lack of transparency in legal matters, in executive, branches of the government. So, which is important not just for economic well-being of Bosnia, and then crucial for survivors in terms of their societal well-being as well, but in general in terms of regional stability too.
Well, thank you so much, Riada, for joining me for this episode of Gendering Geopolitics. It's been a real pleasure speaking with you today.
It passed so fast. Thank you so much.